Greetings, my friends, and welcome to Liquid Clay Fairy Bottles. You know, I'm always looking for new stuff for tinypandora.com, and my daughter and I have been playing with these bottles of bling and these cylindrical molds. And I thought, I wonder how I can make this a little bit easier for first timers, having everything in one place. I decided to layer it in some of these molds using the Sculpey Clear, of course, and then the Sculpey Black, and just some inclusions that come in that set. And I had such a really neat time with it, I thought I'd record it for you. The first one I did, I tinted my liquid clear with just a little bit of alcohol ink, just a couple drops of turquoise alcohol ink. And it worked really well with this. You don't need much at all. And I got those pointy bottles over at Michael's, so I can mix up different, colors and leave them in there. This was one of my favorite molds. I love the shape of it. It makes a really, really pretty effect. And I want you to note how different these things look when they're cured than they do now. See that turquoise color? That's going to become almost a lime green. So that's the first thing you're going to want to know about this. If you're trying to match an outfit or something, I would really recommend that you do some color tests first, because maybe it's not a big deal, but I guess it could be. So I've just put some a little bit of that tinted clay in the other one. I'm putting some black in this one. Another thing I've noticed is there's kind of almost a magnetic field inside of these. I haven't got a clean little squirt ever in there. I'm tapping that so that it gets down into the corners, by the way. So I just push it down with a Q-tip and even up the line. With this one, I'm going to mix some inclusions in before I pour it into the mold. And you'll see lots of different things we'll do. We can put them in beforehand, like we're going to do now. Later on, I'll show you how to sprinkle them in when the clear has already gone into the mold. And I've just tried all these different things so you can see how they look, and you get a lot of different effects. So this is just some purple. There's more than it looks like in those tiny bottles, huh? They kind of go a long way, and the bottles are really cute too. They're glass, and I'm going to make some mini fairy bottles out of those actually when they're empty. I put a little bit of this white iridescent in here because it's a little bit larger color, and I thought it would make a nice effect there. Once it's in the clear and cured, you can kind of see the different textures and colors. And I'm going to pour it into this mold. Now each of these you'll see I've just partially filled and set to the side. And as I said, you can take a Q-tip and just clean up along the edges if you want a real crisp line, or you can kind of let it splash around a little bit inside, and that makes a neat effect too. But these are kind of lined up, so I'm just pushing it down with the Q-tip, just making sure that it's neat, so that each layer that I pour can be sort of separate. And give it a tap, make sure it goes down into the corners. Here's a different way to do it. This one, you'll be so surprised when you see how this turns out, because this is the one I was talking about that is going to go in one color, and man, it comes out such a different color. So we got these tiny gold sequins, and I'm dropping them right in this time rather than mixing them beforehand, because I'm going to kind of arrange them around the bottom. And that's the most fun part of this, I think, is just finding how you want to do your inclusions all different ways. And some came out perfect, some came out not so perfect, but all of them are cute, so you can't really go wrong. Now I'm kind of pushing those down. You can let them float more if you want to, but see, I'm bringing them up along the sides so that I end up with a few, scattered around in places where I've sort of intentionally put them. Now these Mylar shreds come in that little bling pack, and they're just teeny tiny Mylar shreds. I love them. But see how they're fuchsia? Well, they didn't turn out fuchsia. They turned out to be sort of a hot orange, which I love. So watch your colors. Now these ice screws come in the kit that I made, and don't worry about any of this stuff. If you've got glitter at home, you've got molds at home, use what you've got. You can use ice screws. That one I just held up had an earring base in it, like this. See? So you could take an ear wire and you could bend it in and then just trim it off, okay? And you can use that in the mold for your bale. You can also use spoon bales. You could use, this is the end of a hook and eye that I wasn't using anymore. There's a spoon bale. There's lots of different ways to put bales on these. So you're going to want to look into that. I'll show you a little bit more about that at the end. But anyhow, this fuchsia mylar didn't come out even close to being a purplish pink. So you kind of got to go with the flow on that. But I was going to give you the heads up. The colors do change sometimes. And some of them kind of stain the molds a little bit, but it doesn't affect the next cast. So, you know, you'll live and learn. Here's some mylar shreds of copper. And I had just, really thought this was going to be more of a copper and pink piece. But you'll see in the end it turned out really cool, and it's different than I thought it was going to be. I guess that's kind of the fun of it. Now you can poke them down like that, or you can kind of leave them protruding. But I want to show you now another way to make a bale. This is just a plain head pin. This is a solid copper head pin. I'm a copper nut, and I'm always trying to find really quality copper findings for my stash. So this is a pretty heavy gauge copper pin, and I'm just winding it up a little bit to make it look decorative and interesting. You could just cut it off, but I think I'd rather do it like that. So now I'm going to put it into my mold, and this is how you'll do anything that you're going to use for a bale, whether it's a pin, whether it's like a spoon bale, whether it's that ear wire thing. That's how you're going to put them in there, and they stay really nice. Just center it up, fill your mold the rest of the way, and I think you'll really like the effect of this. Now the eye screws are there for you also, and they go in real easy, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But I've got these ready, and I'm going to bake them. So the one that's got the bale in it, that's all that it's going to have in it. I'm going to leave it in through all the bakes, because at 300 degrees, the longer it bakes, actually the clearer and more interesting it gets. So I'm going to fill those up, and we'll get to the demold. So all I did was cook them for 30 minutes, take them out, cool them, put another layer in just like we did. And don't hate me when you go to get them out. It's kind of wicked. You can use a mold release if you want to. I didn't have any, and I didn't know how to do it, so I just bit the bullet here. And what I ended up doing, loosen them like this, get them really loosened. And then take your ball stylus or anything of that shape that's not going to damage the mold. And see what I mean? Then you can get them out. So, it took a few tries. I finally got used to it, and then they all came out okay. Also, don't try to file this stuff. If you have anything uneven, you can nip it off like this. Okay? This nipper really helped me out because the file just scratches it up. I didn't like it. Okay? This is a really cool one. Now see, look, that was turquoise. Okay? Well, it's not turquoise anymore. So that's what I'm talking about, the colors. Now here's that kind of plain one. And it's all, I don't even know if I didn't film making it, but it was just glitter, in a little cup with liquid poured in here. Nothing fancy. But I wanted to show you with this shape how you can put a charm on the bottom. So that way, let's say you used a different bale for your top, well, you'd still have your little eye screw, from the kit left over. And they go in super easily. When I tried to do this with resin, I about broke my arm, and I never did get it in there. But the eye screws go in so easily to this liquid clay, so that was kind of a nice surprise. And so you can use them for bales, or you can use them for charms, however you want to do it. So I used mine for a charm. I used that big loopy thing on the top of that middle one. I used all different, like I showed you, to make different kind of bales. And you see how they turned out? See how pinkish orange that one is? Your kit will have 48 bottles of the bling, and it's all kinds of stuff. It's got tiny beads, it's got shredded mylar, it's got tiny sequins like moons, stars, hearts, and then the fine glitters, that they give you. You get 10 cups. You got to have a mixing cup. Whatever you're doing at home, go find yourself some NyQuil cups, but I'm telling you, they only give you one. And you get 10 of the eye screws to do your little effects with, either for the top or the bottom, just, depending on what you have at home to use. And of course your molds, you get 10 molds. So 10 molds, 10 cups, 10 screws. and 48 blingies. And if you already have molds like that, or you want to make something different, I've got them with letters, which is super fun. I'll show you pictures of that later. And I've got them with these flat molds too that are super cute for that purpose. So I also made a pack in my store where you can get everything all together. So if you don't have any of this stuff, you could pick and choose, or you could get all. It's up to you. But thanks for stopping in. I loved making this. I can't wait to make more. And thanks for your support at Tiny Pandora. It means a lot to me. See you next time. Bye-bye.